Well, 3 points today, Martin. Job done.
Job done. An exhausted manager from his work in the week, doing the 50 laps time 5, and he's left me to come and talk to you. But yeah, very pleased with the result. We've had to make a few changes today, as you know, so I think given the nature of the lineup, 1 or 2 gaps had to be filled. Moving Nathan into midfield, I thought he was excellent, so that really helped, and probably the goal they scored in the injury time's taken a little bit of the smile off our faces. We set very high standards, and even there was time after that, possibly we'd have ended up losing the 2 goals in the last 2 minutes, but that didn't happen, and we're happy with the result. It's another game, and that's all we can look at really, and now we'll concentrate on the game on Tuesday.
Was there a concern coming into this game, missing 3 or 4 key players, that it might be a struggle?
Yes, I suppose so, but it's always fun picking the teams. I mean, many of you do it with your fantasy football teams. We do it with a real football team, with a real squad, and we've had a lot of players this season. And Reece came in today from Coventry. We were pleased that the club moved very fast yesterday morning for it to be done by the 12 o'clock deadline, so we're delighted with the support that we got to make the transfer happen, and the support from Coventry to let him come to us. And of course he's ended up now scoring the winning goal on his debut, which was exciting for him, and I'm sure he'll feel he's got more to offer, but there were plenty of flashes. I think the fans will enjoy watching him play.
Yeah, he very much grew into the game, didn't he? After a bit
he touched the ball for 20 minutes.
He didn't. It was all down the right-hand side with Hodgie.
Yeah, well, of course, Hodgie's family demand that, so we have to give him plenty of the ball to keep the locals happy. But no, he's another option for us, and obviously Ben Gehring served his suspension now, but Ian Gale came in and did extremely well. Of course, he was in the team at the start of the season, and we were getting some good results then, but I just said to him now, I said, if you play like that, you'll be in the team all the time.
We don't like to talk about referees, but nonetheless,
we're not allowed to.
But obviously got a penalty eventually, but should have really had a penalty after the first minute, wouldn't you say?
I think we all felt that, but you know, the referee's the referee, and it was very early in the game. But it wasn't long before we got the penalty, and we were a bit lucky with that, with Dave Tarpley's shot being saved, and then the goalkeeper seemed to lose track of where the ball was. It looked like a very good save, and he was a bit unlucky, and we were fortunate. So that seemed to settle us down, but you know, it is difficult at the moment. The results are vital, but the performances should be almost as important, and we know we can work on getting better performances, and hopefully that will equal the same kind of results, because the results are good again.
Do you think any of that is down to the state of the pitch? Because there were some awful bobbles at time, weren't there? And Lua did so well in the first half, I think, to get past his man, and then went to shoot and shanked it just because of the state of the pitch.
It is difficult, and I think some teams have played well against us who are probably more suited to play on that pitch, particularly Wealdstone. Maybe Dartford a little bit as well, although that was a game that had its own different dynamics. But no, it doesn't help, but we respect the position the club find themselves in. Colin's a great groundsman, and he's had a lot to deal with. There's a lot on his plate this season, because obviously with the club needing to rent the ground out, and Shearwater play here a lot. Reading obviously under 23s play here a bit as well. So it's tough. It's very tough for all those who work on the ground, and we're grateful that we have a pitch that, you know, we should be able to play on, but it could be better. Everybody knows that, but we take it as it is, and we go again Tuesday on it.
And we're sort of getting towards the business end of the season, so to speak. Obviously Torquay have been going great guns. They slipped up today. Do you keep half an eye on their results?
I personally don't, but I would say everybody else around me in the dressing room does. I went and saw Harvey Bradbury as we were walking in, and he said, did Torquay lose? Because obviously he was on the bench when they were losing. No, listen, we've got to do what we do. I've said often enough, massive respect for Gary Johnson. I've come across him many times during my work. He's an excellent manager. They're a full-time football club, but we're having a go, and you know, we'll keep trying to make it awkward for them, and they're, I'm sure, trying to make it awkward for us, and there are others involved as well. We shouldn't forget that it's not a 2-horse race.
And Tuesday night, a win against Hemel Hempstead, and you go top. Does that bring additional pressure?
Has been mentioned, not for pressure, but for something to look forward to. I think Hemel had a good result today, having not done so well against Torquay. Ian and Douse both went to see the Hemel Torquay game, and I don't think probably they got a fair impression. We've had a scout at the Hemel game today, so we'll get a report on that probably in the next hour or so. But it is another game, and I think the whole of the season we've been going one game at a time. It would be nice to have a bit more continuity in the way we approach matches and the way we approach team selection, but you have to remember, and I'm sure this has been said to you by Douse a few times, but I'll just say it one more time, that we had no players at the start, and so we've had to go along. At the beginning we had to beg, borrow, and some might say steal from one or two other clubs, and we've got what we've got, and we've had to just adjust that and tweak that as it's gone along. The loan system is something that we like to use in these circumstances. It would be lovely to have 15, 16 contracted players and we were 10 points clear at the top. That would be an ideal scenario, but that's not the fact of life, and we're dealing with life as it was delivered to us when we were kindly invited to come here, and I know Douse is thrilled about being manager of Woking. I tell him from time to time that I think Woking is a very good football club, and I have followed it for 65 years, so I can add a little bit to that, and my joy at being part of it is tempered by the responsibility that we've got to try and do what the fans want. We know what the fans want here. On the way back is the chant, whether it's we just want to give this season the best opportunity we can, and whatever happens, I listened a lot to Jose Mourinho telling everybody, including myself, that finishing second in the Premier League last season was one of his great managerial achievements, and we could probably echo that, but we have playoffs to deal with. It will only be a great achievement for all of us if we can get up, and we're trying to do it, not with one hand tied behind our back, because the club have supported us to the absolute hill. We're really grateful for the way the board look after our constant requests to try and tweak playing staff within the limitations, the financial limitations that they can do. They've helped us enormously, and that's happened again over the last 24 hours with the score of the winning goal today.
And Martin, you mentioned Woking being a great football club. Of course, they have great fans, and Ben Gehring was in amongst them in the second half.
Yes, I don't know whether the message is to stay there on Tuesday or whether come back in the dressing room. No, actually Ben's been, he's a great bloke. He's positive, and he's taken the disappointment of what happened that meant him missing the game today. He travels a long way to come to play for us. We're grateful for that, and we try and manage that properly, but he was here today as he should be, as even though he wasn't allowed to play. He was the first there. We were a bit disappointed when we went in at the end, actually, because we conceded a goal and then it didn't finish as well as we would have liked. But he was the first to say, "Hey boys, we've won," and maybe being with the fans has emphasised that today. But we'd be glad to have him available again for Tuesday in the dressing room and on the pitch.
Lovely. Thank you very much for your time, Weston.